All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another web design recap. So this will be the recap for, I believe, day five. Um, so day five was Intro to HTML part two. Day four, we did the first Intro to HTML, which is here. But yes, today is the recap for part two of Introduction to HTML. So let's get started. All right. So first, let's talk about links. Um, with links, your base is just a link. So you get to put a link in your website and people can get to click on that link and then they get sent to a website. So links in HTML defined by the A tag, right? And the link's destination is specified in the href attribute. So here in this example code, you get to see the A tag, and then href equals, and then here you put the link in quotations. And the target, you'll notice the target here, and this specifies where to open the link document. And there's multiple different targets, right? In this example, we use underscore blank. There's also underscore self and underscore top and more, etc. Right? It's more stuff. So this is kind of like this is an example of how this would work if you were to implement it. And then this is what you'd get. So um, I can't click on it right now, but I'll show you what it looks like in actual code. So this, I have StackBits open, and all the rest of this stuff is from last week. So don't worry about that. So starting from here, where my mouse is right now, that's where we'll be coding all the new stuff that we learned this week, right? So then we just code this like normal. We'd use the A tag, and then href, right? Href is equal to, and then in quotations. So then we can take the link for Google, so /www.google.com, and this is HTTP, my bad. With that, this is the link for Google, right? As you can see. So then after that, we can just submit a target equals, and then we can just use slash. We can use underscore blank. So then in quotations underscore blank, right? Then just like in this example, we would close the tag or close the opening tag with this little arrow here. And then after this, we're gonna put what the link is displayed as, right? So if we don't do that, we'll just kind of end up with nothing, right? So what we want here is a name for the link. So this is a link to Google, right? And then see, now that'll show up, and then I can just put the closing tag, and that we're done. So now I can click this, and see, it sends me to Google, right? Pretty simple. So just like that, just like the example code here. The opening tag with A, and an href, and then the link of the website in quotations, the target, and then the target in quotations, and then a name for like the link, so how it shows up as in here, and then the closing tag, of course. And then that'll get you this, which you can click to open Google, because that's what I sent it to. You can do this with anything. So, for example, I have Google Classroom right here. I can just copy this link. I can just copy this link, and I can put it in here. So like that. And this is no longer linked to Google, but it's fine. I can just click this, and now it'll read like when you did this. So see, instead of because I changed the href here, the link, now I'm getting sent to Google Classroom rather than Google, right? Okay, let's just change this back to Google for now. All right. So hopefully you guys got a good understanding from that. Also, one thing I want to mention is that, so when I don't put the closing tag, or just when I don't put this tag, you'll notice that like, okay, the body here, this part is bright red. All right. And this is obviously not good, but that's fine. We can just ignore it because it'll stop being bright red after we start putting the closing tags. Right? Because when we don't put the closing tags, it just registers this as part of this. It registers like the body part as part of this tag, and that is that doesn't work. So it'll display as bright red. But as long as you put the closing tags, it'll automatically change back. So don't have to worry about it that much. All right, next. So next we have images. So HTML images are defined with the img tag. And in an img, right, there's multiple things. So let me just check this out actually. We have the source file, which is src, the alternative text, which is alt, width and height. All right, so let's just go over this. So src is like what your image is, right? It's the a link that your image is gonna like draw from. So here it's fsu-logo.jpg, but we can use any photo just like show you guys. So for example, here, right? So opening tag img, right? Img, and then we want src. So src equals, and then quotation marks like always. And now we want a link of a picture, right? So I don't have any link of a picture on hand right now, but I can show you. I want to show you guys something cool where if we just take any website, so I have this website on hand right now, and it has this massive logo on the front. But if I just inspect the logo, you're gonna see image.src here, and I can just take this, and now I have the link of this. So now you can do this with basically any website with an image on it, I think. So now we can just copy and paste that, and now see I have that photo in my code, right? Again, body's bright red because I never put closing tags, but we'll put that at the end, and this will turn back, so don't worry about it. All right, now that we have src, what's next? It'll be alt, right? Alternative text. Now, alternative text is what happens, or what is shown when your photo does not load, right? So let's do alt equals Winecraft logo, right? And this will not show right now. See, nothing changes. It's just the Winecraft logo. The alt text does not do anything. And that's because the alt text only shows when your image does not show, right? So here, if I kind of scuff the thing, you'll see that, hey, now the image does not show anymore because I deleted part of the link. And now it's just like this file not found image. And then now Winecraft logo shows up. And that's what alternative text is, right? So now if I just fill that back in, bam, logo is back and alternative text is gone, right? All right, now let's go to width and length. So width and length are pretty self-explanatory. They're exactly what you think they are. And you'll notice that like in this, it specifies a specific width and height. But the thing with width and height is you'll notice that even though I haven't put anything here, our photo still has a width and height, as like obviously because like it has a width and a height. But that doesn't mean that width and height aren't actually useful useful numbers or useful useful attributes, right? So you don't have to put both, right? You can just put one if you want to. So I can show you, like, for width, let's say I want a width of like 400, right? Now my logo is scaled down, but you'll notice that like it's not just my width that got scaled down, my length also got scaled down, right? So if I only have one attribute there for width and height, and I only have width or I only have height, it'll scale the other dimension down according to what I put for the other dimension. So if we pretend the original width was 800, I don't know what the original width is, but if we pretend it's 800 and I put 400 here, then the thing will automatically scale my height down by 2 times as well, because I scaled my width down by 2 times, right? So you'll always get a proportional image if you only put one dimension. We can see this as height as well, height, and you'll see height increased to 400, but the width also increased along with it, right? So we still have a proportional image. But what if you don't like a proportional image and you want a weird looking image, right? So now we can use height, and when we have both dimensions at the same time, it will stop scaling and it'll just go by those dimensions. So let's say I want height to be 600, right? See, now it's stretched out. The height and the width are no longer directly proportional to the original image, right? They are now separate, and now the image will look very weird. So yeah, that's just what width and height are. So if you just want something to be default dimensions but scaled down, you can kind of just only put one attribute for width or height, and then it'll work out fine. And then of course closing tag. So you notice that body is red until I put the closing arrow. And yeah, so I'm don't want my height to be this big, so I'm gonna just move this back for viewer's sake and put like 100, I guess. 200. Okay, 150 it is. So yeah, and yeah, so moving on. Next, we have relative and absolute paths for links and images, right? So relative paths change depending on the page that the link is on, and links within the same directory do not need any path information. And like file name, something like a file with like file name.jpg or subdirectories are listed without preceding slashes, right? So like image slash file name.jpg. An absolute path is like the one that we just did, refers to a specific location of a file, including the domain. And it's typically used when pointing to a link that is not within your own domain. So like, for example, the image that I took from the Windcraft website, that is not from my own domain, right? So that's why I had to like put the link. And yeah. So let's move on. Colors. So the cool thing with HTML is that we have a lot of colors. And when I say a lot of colors, you have like over 140 colors, I believe, right? And when you wanna get these colors, we can use a lot of different ways. We can use the straight up color name. We can use RGB values, hex values, HSL, RGBA, or HSLA, right? So here on this slide, I have an example of 3 of I think the most common ways you're probably going to get color. So here I have just straight up name, Dodger Blue, which is this first one. And then here I have a hex code. This is FFB61, which is this pink color. And then I have an RGB value. So 255, 99, 71. And I think usually these 3 are like the main ways of how you're going to get color. So that's why I only have these 3 as my examples, right? So this is pretty self-explanatory. We have your opening tag. So P, if you remember from last week, P is just paragraph. So it's just text. You're typing words. H1, right, is, if you remember from last week as well, is header. So that's why Hello World is bold and bigger than Fortnite Battle Pass and Pleasant Park. And then after that we go style, and then background color, and then colon, and then whatever you want. So Dodger Blue, hex code, RGB, HSL, RGBA, HSLA, your choice, right? And then semicolon for this one, and of course this is in quotations, and then the closing arrow for the opening tag, and then your text. So what do you want the text to be for this section? Because this is the same as before with like the paragraph stuff. You just have this attribute here, style, within the opening tag. So you still need text here, of course, right? And then the closing tag like normal. So let's try and code this in our StackBlitz. So like normal, let's try and do H1. I want a big header, right? Style, like earlier, and then in quotation marks, right? Background color, background underscore color, or background dash color, my bad. Background dash color. And then we get to pick a color, or pick a hex code, or pick a RGB value. So let's just pick any random color. Like, so for example, like light green. And then I'd put the semicolon, and then I'd put the closing opening tag, and then I put like hello world, and then closing tag, right? And now you see I have hello world here, and the background color is light green, just like I said. Let's say I want just now regular words, and then style equals background equals background color, and then let's say this time I want a hex code, right? So random hex code generator. So I guess generate color, and this looks like a pretty good color, so we can use this copied, and then just type that in, and I have this. So make sure you put a semicolon there, and then close the opening tag, and I could type like tilted towers, for example, and then I'd close that. Okay, wait, sorry, slight issue here, I just realized. All right, like that. So opening tag with style, and then hex code or color name, and then your words that you want to be, and then closing tag, right? And then just the last example, color colon, and then this will be an RGB value, RGB. So I can take any RGB value. So like, for example, 177, 93. I'm just pulling random numbers out of my head, by the way. So I'm not exactly sure what color this will give me. 93 and 74, for example. Semicolon. And then we'd close the opening tag, and then we can put anything. So like Loot Lake. Loot Lake. Okay, that's a nice brown color. And then we'd put the closing tag. And yeah, so that's like the 3 examples I would show, and you can see it works exactly like in the example, right? Okay. Next, we have lists. So lists are pretty important. Lists are used everywhere. It can be customized as to look as you want. So you can see a bunch of examples of lists right here. This side thing is a list. If you open Discord, everything on the side, your channels are technically a list, right? So yeah, and with lists, there are 2 types of lists. There are unordered lists and there are ordered lists, right? So what's really nice about HTML is that a lot of the tags actually make sense, right? So unordered list is UL. That's the opening tag, UL. So U stands for unordered, L stands for list, right? It's super nice. Same with ordered list. O stands for ordered, L stands for list. Very, very nice. So let's try coding unordered list, right? Let's try coding unordered list. So we get UL, right? And then that's the start of our unordered list. And then we get LI for list. Right, so LI, we'd close that. And we type like web design day 1, right? And then we could do the closing tag for li, just like normal. And then for our next one, li and like web design day 2, closing tag for li, and like li design day 3, right? And this just keeps going on, and you'll notice that like here on the bottom here, this is our list, right? We have dots because this is UL, so unordered list. So just remember, you put the closing tag, UL, UL, just like that. And yeah, our list is complete just for our unordered list, right? Web design day 1, web design day 2, web design day 3, and bulleted dots. So what if I wanted them to be numbered, right? Like almost like a level of priority. Now, there's no priority here. It's just an example, right? So, but if I were to do that, it'd be pretty simple. Instead of U, I simply type O. I simply type O, right? And now they are numbered. So we have 1 web design day 1, 2 web design day 2, and 3 web design day 3. So now they have numbers, so they're ordered, right? And yeah, that's it. So that's the really nice thing about HTML. So it's just so nice. Yeah. So next, tables. Tables are a great way to represent complex information in a grid format, and of course they're made up of rows and columns. So when we want to start a table, so let me just get rid of all of this, just so for organization's sake, right? So we want to start a table. Super nice, just like I said, table. The opening tag is table, right? And that's so nice, I think. Next, we have TR, right? And TR is going to be our table row, right? Table row. So, TR first. TR, right? And then now we get to indent again, and then we can just put whatever we want, right? So first you have TH, which is for head, TH, and then head, right? And then we just put the closing tag, and then we'd indent it, and we do it again. So TH, closing tag, and then we get to do it again. So TH, closing, and then head, and then /TH, closing tag, right? So now I have head and head. Now we can just start a new. Now we want to start a new row, right? So we can close this first row by /tr, right? And then we can open the next row. So we do just tr again. And then just like before, this time I want them to be lowercase, so I can do td. And let's just say like data, sure. Td. Oh, oops, td. Right, and now I have data there, and then we have td, and then data, TD. Okay. And now for this one, we're done with this, and we can close this row. So /tr. Right. And yeah, we're done. So that's our table. That's it. But wait, what am I say? You'll notice that our table here is just the word, 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 word. But this table in the example here is word, 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 but there's lines in the middle, and it looks like an actual table. So no, don't worry, because the lines are actually a product of CSS and JavaScript, right? So the thing with HTML is that when you make a website, HTML works in conjunction with CSS and JS, right? They all work together, and each is able to affect another one. Or each of them is able to affect each other, right? So I could type something in HTML and then go into CSS, and then I'll type something in CSS, and that'll affect what I typed in HTML, right? And that's why, like, for this file, when you made this file, it was called pure HTML /CSS /JS instead of just pure HTML or pure CSS or pure JS, right? Because they all work together, and they're basically it's almost like they're one coding language, but split into different sections that are all slightly different for organization's sake, in a sense, right? So yeah, so don't worry about not having lines. It's just like something you do with CSS or JS, right? All right, next, so comments. Comments are a thing in basically all coding languages, and you can add comments to your code, and anybody on the browser will not be able to see it, and they're only visible when you look at the actual code, right? And comments are really good. They can organize your code into sections. They can comment. If you want to delete a large section of code, you can actually just turn it into a content. But if you want to delete a large section of code, but you don't want to actually delete it, so you just want to hide it from the browser, you can actually turn that entire section into a comment, and you can just get rid of the comment thing after, right? So let's do a comment, right? So you can see here, it is opening arrow, exclamation mark, dash, dash, your words, dash, dash, closing arrow, right? So, and just to show that this can be placed anywhere you want, as long as you make sure that it's a comment, I'm just put it in the middle of my table, right here, in between the first head and the second head, right? And this will not mess up anything, because I'll state that this is a comment. Now, when we put down the opening tag, everything after that will turn green, and don't worry, because it'll turn back to normal after you put the closing section, right? So here I put like, my table is here, right? And then I just close it out, and here you go, right? So now, even though it's smack dab in the middle of my code, nothing changes, and it's there to tell me like, okay, this is my table, and that's cool. Let's say, and you saw earlier how it turned everything into a comment. Let's say I don't want this, and I want some more stuff. I don't want this data section of my table, but I want to keep it just in case I need it later, right? I could do this. So I do this, right? And right. And now you see this section is entirely commented, right? So now you don't see the data part anymore on my thing, but it's still in my code in case I ever need it. So let's get rid of that. And let's get rid of this. All right, so now it's back, right? That's cool. Anyways, next. Next, you have symbols. We kind of talked about this a bit last week, but I just want to go over it a bit again and go a bit more in depth with it, right? So a lot of symbols aren't actually present on a normal keyboard. You'll notice, like, for example, in this example, a euro symbol. We're all living in America, so like we're not gonna have a euro symbol on our keyboards. And but sometimes we want to talk about these symbols that we don't have on our keyboards. So we only have so many symbols, right? And when you want to add a symbol to an HTML page, you can use the entity name, or the entity number, or a hexadecimal reference, right? So here I have examples of all three. I will display euro, and I will display, and then this is the number for euro, and I will display, and this is the code for euro, right? And you'll see that even though these three are all different, you will get the same thing at the end. So let's try this in our code. So let's get rid of this. Oh wait, just one more thing. Don't forget our closing tags. The nice thing about Stackless is that it will automatically put the closing tags for you. automatically assume it's there so it doesn't break anything, but just like know that like these are really important. You need them there. All right, so this is just symbols are just like words if you think about it. So you still use like p, the tag for p, right? So p, and then like I will display. And now what will I display? Just keep in mind that when you do these, you need the ampersand, right? This thing is called an ampersand, and you need to put this before your name or your code or your your number for it to register that this is in fact for a symbol. So for example, let's just type in random numbers. Oops. Okay, that's not. Oh, it's a hashtag. Hold on. Right. And now this is the code for 3 dots, which I did not know, but now I know. So, but let's say I forget to put this ampersand, right? If I get rid of it, now it's just hashtag 8285. So for the computer or for the code to recognize that, okay, wait, this is a symbol, I need to put, I need to put this ampersand here, right? Now for the name, ampersand as well, and you play euro, and then semicolon, and it should display. Yeah, semicolon. See, semicolon, and then we can just put like clothing tag, right? And now we're good. I will display euro just like in the example. So you might be wondering like, well, what if I want to put a symbol there and I don't really know the code for the symbol or the name for the symbol that the code would accept or like the number for the symbol, right? So in that case, there's this website here that I have, and nice thing about this website is that it's a list of basically all possible symbols. Okay, almost all possible symbols that are available in HTML. So without scrolling down, so let's see. This is a decimal number, right? So you get to see like this is a number for it, and this here is the hex code. So I know they look very similar, but they are different because the hexes have letters as well, and these are like numbers. But yeah, so you can decide which one you want to use. Either way, it's the same. Just remember to have this ampersand in front of the thing, so it registers that okay, you need to read that as a symbol, right? All right. Next and finally is layout. So layout is, when it comes to layout, it's pretty important because you're like telling your HTML where to put stuff, right? So header, we've talked about header before. It defines the header for a document section, and the header is like you see the header thing in a lot. I mean, you do the header and a footer and a footer in Google Docs if you double click the top or the bottom side of the page, and it's like the top section of a document, right? Nav stands for navigation, and it defines a set of navigation links just like the tag suggests. Section defines a section in the document, like the tag suggests. Article defines an independent self-contained content, so like an article. And then aside is like the side content. And then footer is like the bottom section. Details is like additional details that the user can open and close. And summary is like a heading for the details, right? So the nice thing about HTML is that a lot of these tags are named in a way where you would be able to know what they were just by reading the tag name, right? So it's not that confusing. Like header is a header, right? It makes sense. So we can see the example of this in real life as well, right? Where we can just like this page with all the symbols and stuff, you can kind of expect this page, and you'll notice that like, hey, I have a head here, I have body, right? I have nav right here, nav, and then I have like see, this is all just words, and then this is not a great example, but if we go to like this website, for example, we can inspect this and we'll see that like it's like, hey, we have header here. Now this website doesn't have a header, but it does have like, or it does have a header, but like it's not that visible. But you have header here, and then you just have like images like we used earlier. You have footers as well. If you go up, you have section right here, right? Nav right here, right? And it's like stuff like that. So yeah, so you can see like a lot of these formatting is used, and it kind of tells the website where to put the stuff. And yeah, also in that code, you saw like a lot of the stuff, a lot of the tags you've been using earlier, like images and then div right here. And then like just all that kind of stuff has also been used a lot in those codes. And yeah, so like yeah, a lot of these things like we're not just teaching you random stuff. These are like actual HTML stuff that have practical application when you're making a website. And yeah, so that's everything we covered this week, or that's everything we covered for the class on 11 November 18th, right? Which I believe is day 5. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Discord or on Google Classroom, I guess, and we'll do our best to answer those questions. For anybody watching this, make sure you do finish your WordPress project. It was actually due on the meeting that this is recap for 11/18. So yeah, I'm better late than never. So like if you haven't turned it in, please turn that in. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Have a good week and good luck. Bye guys.